Am I the a-hole for telling my in-laws exactly where my husband was when I was in labor? I gave birth to my son 10 weeks ago. I went through an exhausting period while I was nearing my due date. I was experiencing discomfort and wanted my husband by my side when I go into labor, but he'd go out every night to hang out at his friend's place and watch football games. I suggested that he play/watch games at home just in case, but he was having none of it and said he had to attend game night at his brother and friend's place, along with his buddies. He said they had certain, how can I describe it, rituals when watching a game, but he can't enjoy doing it at home or anywhere else. The night of our son's birth, my water broke while my husband was at his buddy's place watching a game. I called him and told him to get home and take me to the hospital. It said he was coming, but he didn't. I ended up calling my sister and she took me to the hospital. My husband showed up 2 hours later after he kept calling asking if I was still in labor and that he was almost done watching the game. He was able to make it on time for our son's birth, but I was furious with him, mad and disappointed. He apologized profoundly and has been working on regaining my trust and respect for him after what he's done. He is otherwise very supportive and involved in our son's care. Last night, I was at my in-laws' house for dinner, and we were talking about my son's birth date. My husband suddenly started recalling what happened that night, and basically started lying about driving me to the hospital, waiting and feeling stressed out, and standing on his feet for so long without food or even water. I was confused. I said, no, none of this was true. None of this happened. In fact, he was watching a game when I went into labor, and I wanted him to drive me to the hospital, but he didn't show up till 2 hours later. My mother-in-law, who takes no nonsense from anybody in whom everyone fears, lost it on him, yelling asking him if that was true, and he kept quiet. He started berating him left and right, telling him to sit down and shut up when he stood up to argue, then told him to stand up when he was sitting arguing. Everyone was laughing at how she basically treated him as if he was a boy in trouble. She kept saying, shame, shame, shame on you. This is not how I raised my children to treat their wives. Jordan, you are a disgrace, and I'm disappointed because of what I heard from you. He literally swallowed every bit of his mother's berating and didn't say anything till we got home, where he went nuts saying and made him look neglectful. A bad husband and father by telling the family about where he was, and said I shouldn't have said anything. But I argued it wasn't okay for him to lie and play hero in front of his parents. He said I just caused a rift between him and family and asked if I was happy now. Am I the a-hole? Should I have not said anything? Added to say that he has done similar things in the past since he's a major enthusiast of football and hockey, but I didn't expect it to get to that. Also, this is not our first baby together. We have a 4-year-old son. Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. You didn't make him look like anything. He did. Truth hurts. Maybe next time he will do what he should and not act like a child. Not an a-hole. You said that he's working on regaining your trust, but by lying about his refusal to be there for you, he took a major step back in his attempt to be more trustworthy. Your mother-in-law is awesome though. Your husband got exactly what he deserved. I love the mother-in-law here. Wow. Just wow. Not an a-hole. Husband is absolutely 100% an a-hole for 1, not driving his wife to the hospital when she went into labor, 2, waiting until the game was over to get to the hospital, and 3, lying about it to his family. This would honestly make me question divorce. This is bad. At the very least, marriage counseling would be a must. His argument was that my sister's house was 15 minutes away and thought she'd take me, then he'll follow. Not an a-hole, and I'm sorry. But it sounds like you have deeper issues than him just going to his friend's house to watch football. He doesn't have respect for you, and unfortunately it shows clearly. After his mom put him in his place, which I fully support and think was on the right, he went back home to scream at you and berate you for telling her the truth? At this point, his relationship with his mom shouldn't be your concern. It should be his lack of interest in you and your child, which was clearly shown by him not even showing up to take you to the hospital. I don't believe that saying to you to leave him will do anything. But you do need therapy ASAP. And if he doesn't want any, that's your full answer. You're a mother now and need to put your child's well-being before your husband's. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for punishing my husband for throwing away my dinner? To preface, my husband 33 and I 29 have been together for 4 years. He's vegan and I'm not. He cooks for himself and I cook for myself since he doesn't eat meat products. Last night, I prepared dinner and sat on the couch to eat and watch TV. I heard my phone ring upstairs and went to answer it as it was an important call. I got caught up in the conversation and didn't realize I spent 6 minutes on the phone. I went downstairs after the call ended and saw my husband sitting on a couch. I looked past him and saw my dinner plate was gone. I looked around asking if he touched it. I decided he dumped the food in the trash can because it looked like it was left on the coffee table for a long time, and there was bad smell coming out of it, almost like the meat was rotting inside, and said that while making a disgusted face. I was floored. I yelled at him, "What the hell is wrong with you? I just prepared dinner for myself and was about to eat but had to take a 6-minute phone call and come back." He said he didn't know food was fresh since he was in his office working, but still insists there was weird smell coming from the plate. I said it was none of his concern, and he should have left it alone. But he defended himself, saying it wasn't his fault his eyes got tired of working and wanted to watch TV. But I decided to leave meat laying around for him to feel disgusted, knowing how he reacts to being exposed to meat products. He started making gagging sounds, then went on about the living room being mutual space and that I disrespected him by leaving meat around. I mentioned that he always eats his food in the living room, sometimes the bedroom even. He said, "So you're saying you're disgusted with my cooking?" I asked if he was disgusted with mine, but he explained that his problem was me leaving meat on display with total lack of consideration for his health. We got in a big argument that I went upstairs and refused to do the dishes, after he reminded me since that's my part of chores. True. He ended up doing them himself and started complaining I was punishing him for what happened by making him do the dishes with his injured, he had an accident, hand. I said since his injured hand threw my dinner away, then it can do the dishes just fine. But he said I'm violating the deal and not sticking to my part of chores. Am I the a-hole? I'm thinking maybe he was right and that the living room is shared space and I shouldn't have left meat there. Not the a-hole. Your husband sure is. I understand that he's not thrilled with you eating meat. However, he behaved in a childish and petty manner. What he did was both wasteful and disrespectful. There is no way he would have allowed meat to sit around for days, thus allowing it to rot and smell bad. He knew you were a meat eater prior to marriage. If he had a problem with it, he shouldn't have gotten married. Honestly, I haven't eaten meat for 10+ years, and it's pretty freaking obvious that freshly cooked plate of meat isn't rotting. It also won't affect his health to have it in his vicinity. These are all just BS excuses. As a vegan, that genuinely pisses me off because he just wasted meat just to be a petty a-hole. Yeah, I'm a vegetarian of almost 20 years. This dude's just really dumb and trying to make a point. Not the a-hole. So your husband is a vegan and doesn't agree with eating meat, but surely by throwing your food away has now made it so the animal died for absolutely no reason, since you didn't get to eat it? Not only does he sound rude, controlling, condescending, and obnoxious, he's also furthering the problem by wasting the meat that would have at least died for a reason if you'd been able to eat it. I absolutely hate people that force their way of life on others. I'm a vegetarian, but would never stop my husband eating meat because that's his choice. Not the a-hole, but kinda everyone sucks here. He definitely shouldn't have thrown out your dinner without asking if you're finished with it, and you understandably reacted poorly to it. But all of this is you both overreacting and being upset at something that should be a minor annoyance in a healthy relationship. I think you and your husband need to take this as a sign that there's something that's deeply wrong and needs to be discussed in private. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that she is the mediocre one? My wife and I are both highly educated people. We both have doctorates and several master's degrees, as well as being successful in our professional lives. We also have a son, Caleb, 18 male, who is our pride and joy. Throughout Caleb's life, my wife and I have had some disagreements about parenting. I'm someone who values my son being a well-rounded person, which means I don't want Caleb to just have good grades and I don't care if he doesn't get a perfect score. And my wife is someone who values grades and discipline. It has taken us a long time to find a balance between what me and my wife want. Caleb is in his first semester of law school. One of the requirements to graduate is to certify that you know the English language. Since Caleb already has a certification, he decided to pick up German as a fourth language. I advised him to maybe wait to third semester to start learning German, just to give himself time to get used to how university works, and also because he has history of pressuring himself a lot when studying. Caleb was adamant on starting now, so I didn't push the issue forward. He just finished his second evaluation and is not doing as well as he expected. He's doing, in my opinion, fine. 9 out of 10 in his first test and 8 out of 10 in his second one. but he is very upset with himself. I tried to console him and told him that if he wanted to, we could look for some private tutoring. But I also reassured him that for someone who has never spoken an ounce of German, he is doing amazing. My wife, on the other hand, is furious with Caleb. She told him that his grades are unacceptable and to start putting in more effort on his education. Caleb got even more upset and started crying. She tried to ground him for 2 weeks with no outings, but I didn't let her do so. So now she's mad with me. She says that my weak parenting is allowing our son to be mediocre and that she didn't raise Caleb to be average. I got mad because our son is nor average nor mediocre, so I ask her how many languages she speaks. My wife answers 1, so I tell her that she really doesn't have a say on this particular issue, since out of the 3 of us, she's most likely the mediocre one in that department. She got even more furious, so now I'm sleeping on the couch until further notice. I think you're really messed up here, but I got very mad with her for making our son cry, so I couldn't keep quiet. This is way beyond Reddit's pay grade. Not today, Hall, but you need to get your son some help or he's going to burn out, and it will be you and your wife's fault. Someone needs to advocate for him, and ASAP. This reminds me of that one meme, you ruined a perfect good ex. Look at it, it's got anxiety. Not today, Hall. Your son is 18 years old and your wife is still trying to ground him? For bad grades? He doesn't sound mediocre. Keep sticking up for your son. How is 8 out of 10 mediocre anyway? Mediocre would be 5 out of 10. In my opinion, those grades are not bad at all. His first test consisted of 50 questions and he was wrong on 6, so he got 9. The second test was 60 questions and he was wrong on 12, so he got 8. He's never had contact with the German language, so those marks are fantastic. I'm gonna go with everyone sucks here. Mostly your wife is the a-hole, but it sounds to me like you have been enabling her or not putting your foot down for far too long. I was considered prodigious in elementary school. I just learned to read in kindergarten and had a head start. And because of my overachieving parents, I was totally burnt out by high school. Beyond a certain point, this pressure will only make Caleb's grades fall even more, together with his mental health. Please get him a therapist and have a big sit-down talk with your wife about whether Caleb's achievements are honestly higher on the priority list than his health and happiness. Better yet, considering her mindset likely originated from her own upbringing, she would probably also benefit from therapy. After all, I'm sure she loves her child, just not the way he needs her to. Last story. Am I the a-hole for volunteering my boyfriend and his truck to help my brother and his wife move? My 24 female boyfriend of over 2 years, 27 male, owns a newer, full-sized truck. I think he sinks way too much of his income into it and should probably just drive a regular car since he just drives it back and forth to work and to do errands. But he loves it, and it's his baby. My older brother, 31 male, and his wife, 31 female, recently bought a house and are moving out of their apartment. I was at my parents' house with the 2 of them when they announced it to us. When I asked them when they were moving and they told me, I told them, well, hey, my boyfriend has his truck, which I'm sure will come in handy. I'll have to ask him, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind you using it and helping you out. They told me that this would be great. When I told my boyfriend about it, though, to say that he started grumbling would be an understatement. He started going on about how he didn't want to give up his Saturday to help my brother and his wife move, and how he didn't want to put that wear and tear on his truck. He said that people moving stuff in and out of his truck bed was likely to put scratches on it, and how I shouldn't have volunteered him at his truck without talking to him first. I told them that I'd have to ask him first, and that it was ultimately up to him. He responded that there was no way for him to say no to it without looking like an a-hole to my family. So I pretty much made it so that he had no real choice. I think he's been kind of a baby, honestly, and should just be happy to help. My brother actually helped my boyfriend get his current job, so my boyfriend kind of owes him one. But maybe I was a little presumptuous? What do you think? You're the a-hole. You can't do that for him. You should have said nothing and asked him first. If he now feels obliged to do it, you need to help. It's very hard work. People can only offer themselves to do something like that. I bet it doesn't tell his siblings that you're going to make a dinner for them and their 30 guests, because they helped you with the plan too. This. You should have just kept quiet, asked him, and then said, hey, my partner has a vehicle we can use. You put him in such a tight spot. Opie, you're the a-hole. I also love how Opie is super critical about the truck in the first paragraph, but as soon as it comes in handy, she volunteers it on his behalf. I say you're the a-hole. You pretty much volunteered someone else's time without asking them. Doesn't matter if it's family or not, it's still their day and not yours to give away. And let's be honest, moving sucks. And people can't back out. You pretty much backed him into a corner to not being able to say no without looking like a total a-hole to your family. Also, you really shouldn't talk so badly about how he spends his money on a hobby that he clearly enjoys. If his bills are paid, then what he does in his spare time that gives him joy then is not stupid. And note that there was no mention of paying for his time or even just gas. Laughing my butt off. Do any of these people realize your boyfriend wouldn't even have a job if it weren't for your brother? They are family. Like, how ungrateful. I'm 28, but it seems like everyone in the comments is so butthurt because of his precious Saturday and, oh my god, scratches. First of all, the scratches won't freaking happen. There are so many ways around this. Also, if you live in Southern California and you own a truck, you're pretty much a small member Chad. Especially if you don't even use it for its intended use. Like, I'd be embarrassed to be with someone who owns such a truck and doesn't actually use it for anything besides point A to B. Yes, moving sucks and helping people sucks, but you can help one day with your boyfriend. It could be fun and a bonding experience and when you need to move. Who's to say you won't need help too? Like, did everyone forget what family is? I completely agree. Volunteering someone isn't the greatest, but the boyfriend would be in the exact same situation if looking like an a-hole had a family ask him. And if you're worried about your truck bed getting scratched, then you don't need a truck. Or just put a sheet of plywood down first.
Am I the a-hole for leaving my daughter and grandkids very little as an inheritance in my will? The story of my life. I was a very troubled kid. I got into tons of trouble with the law, was in and out of jail, and had a terrible addiction to meth, shooting up daily. I never thought I was going to live to see 25, let alone 60. My last stint in prison was 4 years. That was my last brush with the police. Arrested in 95 and out in 99. It's been about 30 years clean. When I got out of prison, I owed $70,000 in child support. I dug myself out of debt with various jobs. Through hard work, I've amassed over $1 million today. My credit score is now 843. I did this all on my own. I busted my butt, going from shoveling dirt and mud under crawl spaces to running the insulation portion of 60-story high-rises with 7 to 10 guys working under me. I'm now disabled from an accident at work, and I'm in the process of starting a nonprofit that trains the neurodivergent to gain work experience. My second daughter today is neurodivergent. Rewind to about 1990. I had a child with a woman I thought I loved. This was at the height of my addiction. I knew we weren't ready for a child, and I relayed that. To me, this was a discussion, but it clearly meant more to her because she just left me and was gone. She didn't involve me in the birth. Maybe 2 years later, I had moved to the Northwest, and I found out she had moved to Florida to have the baby. We originally lived in New York. I got a letter saying I owed child support. My first child's name is Amy. When I got out of prison, I came back to New York and really tried to make up for lost time. At first, Amy seemed interested in getting to know me, but over time, I believe her mother poisoned her against me because of how much fun she saw me having with Amy. Over time, she became very angry and hurtful, going out of her way to be intentionally mean. I've spent the last 25 years trying to make amends, but nothing I do seems to work. For example, at one point her mother said, "I can't handle her, you have to take her." So I took her in. She was about 15, even though I was barely able to take care of myself. She was so hard on me. One day during an argument, she said, "It doesn't matter because I'm going back with my mom anyway." I said, "No, you're living with me now." But her mother filed paperwork again and took her back. We rarely talked after that. When I did talk to her now and then, she would only ask for money. $500 here, $1,000 there. Until one day I blew up and said she couldn't use me like that. She blew up back at me, slammed the phone down, and didn't hear from her for about 10 years. I was tired of trying to force a relationship she clearly didn't want. I figured she'd call when she was ready. In 2012, I had my second daughter. I swore I was going to do this one right, and I have. She's growing up right. She's growing up wonderful. Then out of the blue, Amy calls me back. I'm 60 now, and says she wants a relationship. She wants to get to know the grandkids I've never met. We talked every day for about 3 weeks, and everything seemed fine. Then she just stopped talking. I sent her gifts for her birthday. I sent the kids hundreds worth of gifts for Christmas. No response. I haven't talked to her at any length in 5 months. Yes, I've called her, and she says, "Oh, I'm just so busy these days, but I really enjoy our talks." I feel like she's doing it again, possibly because she knows I'm older, knows I got hurt and I'm disabled, and wants to remind me that she's still in my life without doing the work of actually being in my life, hoping for some inheritance. The question is, am I overreacting? Overthinking? When I question her and she says she's just really busy, I think in this day and age, we have cell phones in our hips even when we go to the bathroom. If you can't send a text every now and then, especially when someone sends you a massive number of gifts for Christmas and birthdays, what you're really saying is, you're not that important to me. Regardless of our relationship, she has involved the grandkids now, and they shouldn't suffer, even if I don't ever get to talk to them or get a thank you. I know I screwed up. I screwed up her life. I've really tried to make amends. I have so much to offer her today. Her mother didn't involve me in the birth, and I was fully paralyzed by addiction, living on the streets and shooting up in alleyways. I had no control over my addiction. I realized this is not an excuse. I can't change the past, but I'm trying to make up for it. What more can I do? She's put me in a difficult place with the grandkids. My therapist says to just be happy with whatever I get from her, and that when she's ready, she'll contact me. I send gifts and I don't even get a thank you. It's not that I don't plan on leaving her anything, but I think $10,000 each between her and the grandkids, $30,000 total, should be enough. Unless she really wants to involve me in her life and call me more than once every 6 months. Do I really have a right to expect some kind of relationship with her? She contacted me. She said she wanted a relationship. We talked for 3 weeks. Nothing happened on my end that I can see would have annoyed her enough to stop talking. And when I do talk to her, she says, No, everything's fine. I'm just really busy. Am I overreacting? Would you leave more as an inheritance? The thing I think about a lot is, yes, I hurt you. Yes, you have a right to be angry over it. But I never did anything to intentionally hurt you. She has gone out of her way to hurt me emotionally and to use me for money when she needs it. And every time I leave her, is that much less my other daughter will end up with. Edit, for those comments about maybe she needed me to be more involved and visit instead of just calling and sending gifts, she lives about 6 hours away from me. I offered to visit from day one. She said no because she has a small place and said she would drive out before the end of the summer. That turned into Christmas and now into spring. I even offered to meet at a neutral location, like Noble's amusement park, halfway between us, but nothing. I would drive out tomorrow to meet her if she'd let me. I have no problem giving her $500,000 while I'm alive through reciprocal actions. Does she want to buy a house? I'll help with the down payment. Does she want to start a business? I'll review her business plan and help her start the business and front the money. But I'm not going to just give her money after my death when she is meeting me halfway, so she can blow it all in a few years. I would rather help her today. But if that's not what she wants, then she doesn't deserve the money later. Now for the top comments. I would set up some sort of trusts for the grandkids to access when they come of age. Nope, I'd give no direct access. Just specify what it can and can't be used for, and have an executor who can disperse funds. I did one of those not too long ago. I did have it hand over the full balance at a specific but higher age, because if they didn't have their life sorted by that point, nothing can be done. I wouldn't send gifts to them. She seems to be playing games. The damage is done. I would leave a token amount, say $100 each, to acknowledge them, but also to make it clear that as the relationship has been strained and you are estranged, you don't want to leave them more. And then put all your money into a trust fund for your second daughter, so it can't be manipulated into going to the first daughter. I would make it clear to the trust holders that your second daughter has access to the money, but things should be put into her name or the trust's name to protect her in marriage and from financial abuse, etc. Not the a-hole. Your first daughter has a pattern of using you only when convenient, reaching out, getting gifts, then ghosting as emotional manipulation. $30,000 is more than fair considering her inconsistent behavior. You've tried repeatedly to build a relationship, and she keeps pulling away. Your second daughter, who you've raised right, deserves more of your hard-earned money. Your therapist is right. Keep the door open but protect yourself financially. She needs to put in actual effort if she wants a real relationship. Not the a-hole. You can do whatever you want with your money. Sounds like Amy is ready to be in your life again because she knows you now have money. A tale as old as time. But if she wanted his money, why break contact? Obviously, this would make everybody feel crappy and used. OP should hear her struggle because, yes, he got out of his addiction, but it had an impact on her life as well. She didn't have a dad growing up. They should have talked about how to rebuild a totally new bond. I'm working on it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to change my mind regarding the money I gave my niece for her wedding? I gave my niece a decent sum of money for her wedding. This was 100% a gift on my part and have not regretted it. But my brother and sister-in-law want me to demand the money back from her for upsetting them. Personally, I think their reaction is over the top and extreme. But they are angry and their feelings are hurt, so maybe I'm being dismissive. The issue, if you can even call it that, is the wording used on the save the dates my niece and her future husband sent out. They gave their own names and listed the parents. But my niece listed sister-in-law as my brother's wife, instead of as a parent. It's handled like this. The groom's parents are listed as parents of the groom, names, while my brother and sister-in-law are listed as father of the bride, name, plus his wife, name. She also has a section stating she's the daughter of the late her mom's name. My brother and sister-in-law feel like this is a big insult and demeaning to sister-in-law's role because she met my niece and her siblings when they were all under 10 and has been part of raising them. To be listed as the wife instead of as the parent has led to hurt feelings. Meanwhile, my brother is angry that his wife is listed as just his wife, while his late wife is mentioned as the mother. He feels this overlooks the role sister-in-law played. My niece doesn't regret her choice of words for the save the dates, and because they had multiple discussions after they were sent out and she hasn't apologized, my brother and sister-in-law believe it's wrong for me to fund any part of what they see as an insult. When I refused to demand the money back and I refused to turn against my niece as they wanted, they turned on me. They said I should be defending sister-in-law, who raised my niece and the others. They said this decision has formed a crack in the blended family they built, and they fear all the other kids, including sister-in-law's bio kids from her late husband, will follow suit. They told me it should bother me, and I should want better for my extended family. They also asked how I would feel if any of my children did this to me. I don't really think I'm wrong, but perhaps I'm just too close to this situation to know. Am I the a-hole? They're being ridiculous. Tell them to handle their business without dragging you in. The save the date card is totally appropriate and accurate. Miss Manners would approve. Read some newspaper wedding announcement wording for reference. Miss Manners would not approve of anyone telling you to retract a gift. And it also acknowledges the bride's late mother, which will be really important and meaningful to the bride. The second wife is butthurt about not taking the glory, even when she isn't paying for it. Well done, Aunt, for being loving, and tell them not to involve you in their pettiness. Not the a-hole. They listed what was true. This has nothing to do with you, and they're being completely insensitive to the fact that the niece wanted to honor her bio mom and stepmom and did. This is my feeling too. I'm glad to see others agree that demanding the money back is not something I should do. Not the a-hole. Wedding invitations are very formal, and indicating what everyone's actual relationship is to the bride and groom isn't wrong. What do they think she should do about her real mom? Just leave her off altogether? lie to everyone and say the stepmom was the one who actually gave birth. She is showing respect for her stepmom by including her as dad's wife, because that's what she is. You don't indicate what the niece's relationship is like with her stepmom or dad, but if they continue to push the issue, they will damage their relationship with the niece, their daughter/stepdaughter. They're trying to use you as a pawn to get what they want and are being incredibly selfish. Also, I don't think this situation formed the crack. The crack was already there. My brother said she could have listed her mother still and listed sister-in-law as her parent. He said it didn't need to be so othering of sister-in-law and dismissive of the role she played. He feels the way she was listed is not good enough, and sister-in-law agrees. Just because step-parents play a role doesn't mean they're accepted as a parent in a child's eyes. I hate when people call my stepmom my mom because she isn't. No one will ever take my mom's place. Last story. I had to cut off my mother because she wouldn't follow basic safety rules with my kids. I am the oldest of 3. I got married first and had kids first. My mother loves the in-ground pool in the backyard. She offered to babysit when my first was born, and because we both worked, we were happy to have free childcare. This went okay for 1 year. When my daughter was 2 and mom had just opened a pool, I reminded her to not put the baby in the pool. You just opened it yesterday and it is not heated. The water's too cold. Mom agreed and I went to work. P.S. Mom is obese and has a lot of body fat that helps her regulate in cold water. The baby had very little. When I got home, they were both in the pool and the baby was shivering. We argued. I bought her this little swimsuit, and she was so cute in it. We had to swim, Mom said. She insisted the baby wasn't cold, but the baby got sick. At 3 years old, my daughter was having food allergies. When I dropped her off, I explained that she was having food allergies. We didn't know what from, and a pediatrician had her on a strict elimination diet, slowly adding foods to find which ones she was allergic to. Doctor's orders: do not feed her anything unless it is in this lunch basket. Prescribed diet only. Mom agreed. When I got home, they were eating cookies and cake. Mom said grandmas are supposed to spoil grandkids. At 4 years old, my mom lost a child in a store while shopping. A week later, my wife lost her in a store. A month after that, I also lost her in Walmart and had to ask security for help. They called the cops, who locked down the Walmart and started a lost child search. We found her hiding inside a camouflage jackets and sporting goods, which really, when you think about it, is a good hiding spot. So when I had a dinner invitation to meet with a VP and my boss to discuss promotion options and a moving bonus, I told Mom no shopping. She agreed, explaining that in addition to the 4-year-old, she was caring for a senior/Alzheimer's patient family member. When I arrived, Mom was getting herself and a senior ready to go out. She asked for the car seat. We argued about that for several minutes. She said I had to go to my important meeting, so I didn't have a choice. Give me the car seat, she insisted. I called my boss, asked for forgiveness, and canceled dinner due to a small family emergency. The job offer was rescinded the next day. Dad refuses to discuss it. I went no contact. Mom tells the entire family/friends/neighbors/church that I refuse to see her for no reason. So 4 questions. 1. Am I the a-hole for going no contact? 2. Am I the a-hole for trying to talk it out for months? 3. Am I the a-hole for keeping no contact unless she apologizes and promises to change her behavior? She pulled the same food stunt on my brother's kid and my sister's kids years later. 4. The 4-year-old daughter is now 17. I have 2 more kids that she has barely met. Am I the a-hole for keeping no contact unless Mom agrees to discuss her behavior, apologize, and change it? You know, if there was an Olympic sport for ignoring basic safety rules, your mom would be a gold medalist. 1 gold and 2 bronze. My siblings have not cut her off yet, but they limit how much freedom she has with them. She has retired from competition now and is coaching other entitled boomers into selfish heights and parenting lows. Not to seem obvious, but she breaks rules literally set by doctors because she doesn't care. I mean, the food allergy thing, I know it's probably unlikely, but she could kill your child. What's she going to say then? Well, grandparents are supposed to spoil grandchildren? Yes, they are, but not in a destructive manner. And she lies to your face about not going anywhere with your child, then throws you under the bus, potentially losing you an opportunity. Not to seem rude, but have you checked out the Raised by Narcissists subreddit? Not saying she is one, but so far the only thing that matters in her mind is what she wants.